Harper Audio presents Hard to Let Go, a hard ink novel by Laura Kaye. Performed by Seraphina Valentine. Chapter 1. The warehouse was an abandoned shell. Empty so long that parts of the roof had caved in. Most of the windows were gone, and nature had started to reclaim the concrete and cement, with bits of green taking root in the building's cracks. Proof of the resilience of life, even in the worst of circumstances. Most of Beckett Murda's life was proof of that. The whistling early morning wind and the distant sounds of Baltimore car traffic and ship's horns were the only noises that made their way into this corner of what was left of the fourth floor, and that was just fine by Beckett. Because the height and the quiet and the seclusion made it the perfect place from which to protect what he cared about most. His friends, his brothers, his chance at redemption. Crouching beside a busted window gave Beckett the perfect view of Hard Ink Tattoo, his temporary home the past 2.5 weeks. Or at least it was the perfect place to see what was left of it. The red brick L-shaped building sat on the opposite corner of the intersection. Just a few days before, the center of the long side of the L had been reduced to rubble, courtesy of his enemies. The pre-dawn attack had claimed the lives of 3 good men. 3 too damn many. With Wednesday morning daylight just breaking, Beckett scanned a 180 from left to right, his gaze sequentially moving from the empty roads that led to Hard Ink's intersection, to Hard Ink itself, to the surrounding buildings, all empty, just as this one was, except for Hard Ink. Luckily, the side on which their group lived hadn't suffered any loss of integrity during the attack, so they hadn't had to relocate their base of operations. Beckett repeated the survey using a pair of high-power binoculars, useful for picking up details he might otherwise miss, given the loss of acuity he'd experienced in his right eye from a grenade explosion just over a year ago. His lefty was 20/20 all the way, but shrapnel had reduced his righty to 20/160. His visual impairment in that eye was damn close to legally blind, and it made seeing at a distance a bitch. That explosion marked the beginning of the whole clusterfuck that led to him sitting in this hellhole all night. Beckett's Army Special Forces team had been ambushed at a checkpoint in Afghanistan, killing their commander and 6 other members of the team. In addition to himself, the 4 survivors, his best friend Derek Mars DiMarzio, second in command Nick Rixey, Shane McCullen, and Edward Easy Cantrell, had fought tooth and nail to make it out alive, only to be blamed for their teammates' deaths, accused of dereliction of duty, and sent packing from the Army courtesy of other than honorable discharges and non-disclosure agreements ensuring they could never say anything to try to clear their names. Now they were doing it anyway. This was their one and only shot. Movement along the far side of Hard Ink. Beckett focused in to see Katherine Rixey pause at the corner, before running across the road to the shadows of the opposite building. From there, Nick's younger sister skirted tight along the wall, darted across the road again, and then disappeared from view as she entered the warehouse where he hid. Within a minute, the rapid thump of footsteps echoed up the stairwell. Nearly 6 a.m., which meant his shift in the sniper's roost was done. Kat was his relief. Except that was maybe the only way Kat Rixey relieved him. Otherwise, she had an impressive knack for getting way far under his skin and pushing all his buttons.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?